Hey, this is Laurel. I am making chocolates today, the chocolate fondant. I do it every year at Christmas time, ever since my mom quit about 5 years ago. She made chocolates every Christmas for over 50 years, and I helped her with a lot. I also did some on my own a few times before that, but this is my sixth year actually consecutive of making them. In my pan right here, the fondant is really the hardest part of chocolates. I've got 4 cups of sugar, 2 tablespoons of corn syrup, 1/4 of a teaspoon cream of tartar, and 1 1/3 cups, which is just almost a whole can of canned milk. And that's your basic fondant. And to this batch, I've also added 4 ounces of unsweetened chocolate because I'm going to make chocolate orange. And with the chocolate fondant, you have to have your chocolate in when you cook it. All the other flavors, it's just the milk, the corn syrup, the sugar, and the cream of tartar. Anyway, so you turn it on about medium heat and you're going to stir it pretty much constantly until your chocolate is melted, and that's going to take a few minutes. So we're just going to pause the video for a minute until we have everything dissolved. Okay, so as you can see, it's pretty well melted, the chocolate melted and dissolved. I've got just a little tiny piece here I'm trying to get melted, but this is what it looks like. Of course, if you don't have the chocolate in, it's going to be kind of that yellowish canned milk type color. So when you get to this point, yeah, that's still not quite, it's just about all dissolved there. You're going to stop stirring it. I'm going to take my little handy dandy spatula. I'm going to scrape the sides like this to get all that excess stuff off. Okay, but you're not going to put that back in, you're just going to throw that. You must have a candy thermometer to make successful fondant. Buy them anywhere, get them at Walmart. So you're going to hook your candy thermometer and make sure the candy thermometer is not touching the bottom of the pan. And we're going to turn it up to, I got it up to, mine's on a number from low to high to basically 1 to 10 on the numbers, and I've got it at about a 7, so it's about a medium high. And we're just going to sit here, and you got to watch it really close. You're going to let it cook. It'll start boiling shortly, and then after it starts boiling, you watch your thermometer. For chocolate fondant, I personally stop at, your altitude is different, but for where I live in Malad, with our altitude and our humidity, I stop cooking my chocolate fondant at 225 degrees. I have made too many batches of too hard fondant cooking it any hotter than that. So 225 for chocolate. If you're making just the regular fondant without the chocolate in it, I cook it, for our altitude here, I cook it to 227 degrees. So if you can see, it's just starting to bubble just a little tiny bit. But it'll probably take a good, 5-7 minutes at least to cook. So we're going to pause it again until we're just about done cooking it. Okay, so as you can see, it is boiling quite nicely. We are almost up to 225. This is what my mother would always sit here just like this and watch it and not take your eye off it, because you don't want to cook it too long, but you want to cook it long enough. So you're going to need to keep a really close eye. We're just almost there. Just a little FYI, normally after it starts boiling, we don't stir it again. And also, the weather and the humidity make a difference in making candy, and so I don't ever make it on a rainy day. My mother would never make it on a cloudy day. I have made it successfully on cloudy days, as long as they're not super dark, humid clouds. Today's nice and sunny, perfect day for making it, and it is done. So take it off, pull out the thermometer, and then we're going to move it over here. I have this cookie sheet on a little rack. We're going to dump it in the cookie sheet to cool. Don't scrape the bottom of the pan. You just let it run out just like that. sink and let it sizzle. And then I also have a rack under it because it helps to cool it a little bit faster. You want to cool it. It's probably going to take another 5 to 10 minutes to cool enough. You want to be able to touch the bottom without it being, right now it's super hot. So it's going to take a few minutes to get it cool enough. So we'll come back to that. Okay, so it's pretty well cooled off enough. I can put my hand on the bottom without it being too hot, and it's a little bit thickened from when I first poured it in. So this, because I'm going to make chocolate orange, I got this orange oil, and I'm going to put some of that in. And any flavoring that you do, if you're not doing chocolate, if you're going to do cherry or you want to do orange or what else, vanilla, you put a teaspoon of flavoring in before you start stirring it up, which I've got the orange in. And so then we're going to take and we're going to stir that all up in so it gets mixed up in all of the fondant. And you can make it, you can buy whatever flavoring you want, and you can mix flavors too. This chocolate, my mother never made chocolate orange. It's kind of one of my own creations. And another one that we really like that I make is mixing almond and vanilla flavoring. That's super yummy. And you put anywhere from 1 to 2 teaspoons of flavoring in a batch, and it just kind of depends on how strong you like it and what kind of flavoring you get. This is the orange oil. It's a lot stronger, so I wouldn't use more than a teaspoon of it. If you buy like the grocery store extract, you're probably going to want to use a couple of teaspoons of that because it's not quite as strong, depending on how strong you like your flavor. So it's nice and shiny. We're going to stir it, or beat it as we call it, until it's not shiny and it's thick. You can also add nuts or coconut. Coconut's another flavor I do, and if you add your coconut, you can add it at the same time you add your flavoring. If you add nuts, you don't want to add them until it's a little bit closer to the end of your beating time. And this takes a few minutes. Okay, we're getting pretty close to being done. It's thickening up. So I'm going to add, I don't always add nuts to chocolate orange, but I'm going to add a little, oh, I should have opened my baggie because I got chocolate all over my hand. I'm going to add just a few nuts, not a lot. You want to stir them in close to the end like this. It's getting a lot thicker. My pan, I make such a mess of these pans. I don't know how my mom always kept them so clean. I think she didn't have as big of a batch in each pan. But yeah, see, it's starting to lose its shininess. It's getting a lot thicker and a lot harder to beat. So it's almost done. And you can smell that orange. Not that you can smell it, but I can smell the orange. Okay. Almost there. Oh, that's getting really hard. I think we are done, and that's what it will look like when it's done. So then you take your bowl, it in your container. Kind of sticky. Get the rest of it here. All right, and there it is. Chocolate orange is done. So I put it in a container like this, a nice airtight one, and then I just store it in my refrigerator until I'm ready to dip them on chocolate dipping day. And that's it. And now the best part comes. Put that in there. The best part comes tasting it.